Hi kids, welcome to Terry on Tuesday. Not a lot to report this week, but I will tell you about the filming we did last week back up at Gloucester Prison. Thanks to my friends Andy and Clive for that. This is the second day of shooting MUMMYFIED, and if you're not aware what that is, because someone did ask me the other day, saying, didn't you stop that bloody students thing? Well, yes, I did, but instead of sort of giving it up altogether, I thought, why don't I scale it down into a short film, like a 10, 15, maybe 20-minute film, tops. And, you know, so it's a lot less cast, a lot less effects, a lot less filming, etc. involved, and of course a lot less money, although this film is costing me quite a bit. But I'm not taking any money off anyone, I'm not doing any Kickstarters, any fundraisers, any sales, or anything like that. That said, if you want a bloody student's t-shirt, I've still got a couple. My mate Gareth Wood did me this awesome logo. We wanted a retro video style, VHS era style logo for the start of the film. And also this logo in the retro video style for what is essentially the production company, which is based on Terry on Tuesday movies. So they look really cool. Second day filming was a pretty long day, much smaller cast and crew. Again, 2 cast members our mummies are finished with. Now we have mummy dummies who are standing in for the out of commission mummies, shall we say, in the room. We got there a bit late because traffic was a bit horrendous. So we got there about sort of 10 o'clock-ish. We were ready to start filming at about midday, and we had to finish a little bit earlier because of the prison needed to be locked up by about 3:30. So we were finishing about 3 and packing up, which was a shame because we got lots done. Angharad and Hannah are our characters in this, and they play Kells and Benny respectively. 2 complete opposites. One's a SWAT, the other one's a punk who basically, and they can't stand each other. So they're trapped in this room having fought off a load of mummies and working out how to get, how to survive and how to get out of there. The pair of them work super hard from, their own costume and makeup as well. And just learning the script. The script it's mostly dialogue-based humor, so that involves not only learning all the lines and kind of getting the gags, etc. Now bear in mind, Angharad's been doing a number of different films. Hannah's been doing her one-woman show, on top of that music gigs and all sorts of other things as well, and they've still found the time to memorize this script of mine, which never ceases to amaze me because I know how hard it is to learn lines. Anyway, the fact that if you can get actors who can memorize their dialogue, you can go so fast. We learned that on Off-World, and we're learning that on this. So as soon as we got up and running, we did an outdoor shot against green screen, which is used for the end of the film. And then we sort of rewind selector and got back into the room and had the 2 girls basically going at each other tooth and nail and slagging each other off left, right and center. And it was great fun. And we tried to do as few takes as possible in order to get as much done in the day as possible. Originally, we were hoping to finish the film, but it became apparent that with the time constraints and, the way filming goes, it's very slow to start off. You get into a rhythm, and at some point, everyone has to stop for coffee or toilet breaks or whatever. And no matter what, the time runs out, So it looks like we're going to have to try and do a 3rd day there to finish up. I'm confident that what we've done already will be easily over 50% of the film, and we've just got another 50% to do, and it's mostly dialogue. So once we get into it again, it'll be quicker. I couldn't let this week's video go by without mentioning what happened on Sunday. That was the 13th. This is literally history in the making. As you can see, 15 seconds to go. SpaceX's Starship, this is the 5th integrated flight test, number 5. There goes the water deluge system, which combats the flames. Then it takes off. 3, 2, 1. So, the whole point of this thing, bear in mind, this is the most powerful, biggest rocket ever built. It's bigger than the Saturn V, before you say that. So the plan is, you see those two things sticking out at the top in the T shape? They're called the chopsticks. So the whole point was to launch the rocket, which is no mean feat in itself. It weighs thousands of tons, and it's taller than the Empire State Building. And the plan is to get it into orbit, split the rocket in two, and then, as the booster comes back down at 8 times the speed of sound, weighing again thousands of tons, even though it's almost empty, there's still going to be some propellant left in there. You can see there that it's got 33 working engines, all working well and good. Sometimes they tend to conk out, but they're all working fine. So basically, when the rocket booster comes flying down like a bullet, their plan is to catch it using the chopsticks. This has never been tried before on anything. The whole point of trying to catch it instead of letting it drop into the ocean is it saves money. You can reuse the booster, which saves billions of dollars, and it makes because it's the biggest rocket ever made, it makes things so much easier for getting heavy payloads and big payloads and people and everything else into orbit, to the space station, to the moon, and eventually to Mars. So, did they attempt it? You can see here that the speed is going right up. It's twice the speed of sound already, 26 kilometers, and it gets much higher. Now we're going to skip forward a little bit. Alright, so it's done a successful split and it's coming back to Earth. It's slowing down now. It's still twice the speed of sound. Now it's doing what's called a landing burn. So the engines go on. There we go, to slow it down. A little bit of fire coming from somewhere. Let's not worry about that. And it's heading for the chopsticks. It could all go wrong here, but guess what? The chopsticks close, and it's a literal textbook landing. That fire is a little bit worrying, because there's some hole in the tank, but they have a fire suppression system which puts the fire out. Everyone watching this, when I was watching this stream, oh, by the way, thank you to NASA Spaceflight. I'm borrowing their footage. Everyone's freaking out over this. There were 20,000, no, there were 25, 30,000 people watching, I think. It was incredible. That fire soon goes out, it doesn't explode, and that was history in the making. That has never been done before. But where's the other half of the spaceship, I hear you ask? Let's find out. Well, here it is, over Madagascar. As you can see, it's going 26,000 kilometers an hour. So that's many times the speed of sound. It's flying like a bullet. But if you look at the little graphic next to the speed and altitude, you can see the angle in which it's coming back to Earth. So as it gets lower and lower in the altitude, it will start heating up. So we're looking down at the bottom of the rocket and one of the movable directional flaps there. So I'm going to speed this video up a little bit now, just so we can get quickly through the landing phase, because what they've done, all the little the black area and the fin are basically heat shields, heat shield tiles, a bit like the shuttle used to have. Oh, in the inset there you can see someone getting into a helicopter, and the booster still hanging there. You can see the fire didn't do any damage in the end. Anyway, these heat shield tiles are very similar to what they used to have on the space shuttle, and in the last attempt, where the fin joins the body of the spaceship, it completely melted away, and it didn't come off, but it was completely melted through. So they've beefed up the heat shielding in the hope that they can avoid that this time. So let's see what happens, shall we? Well, as you can see, just underneath the fin, it's glowing pink. That's what happens when plasma starts heating up, because it's pushing its way through the very thin atmosphere at the speed of a bullet, basically. So it's getting a nice, healthy pink, but nothing's burning yet. So far, so good. The two girls in the corner from SpaceX are talking about the hexagonal heat shield tiles that are currently on the ship. Underneath the tiles are a white layer, which you can just see the edge of an extra heat. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. You know when you buy a plasma ball, that's basically what it is. It's superheated air. So the fins don't need to move. They're in the right position to steer it at the moment. You can still see the speed, 26,000 kilometers an hour at an altitude of 95 kilometers. This is not being catched, and it's not landing on dry ground. It's going to be dropped into the Indian Ocean, as far as I can tell. It's glowing super, super bright. Now, so far, nothing's gone red hot, nothing's heating up. It's withstanding the heat. At this time in the last flight, Flight 4, we had problems. The camera lenses had smashed. You could hardly make out anything. There was bits of tiles falling off left, right, and center. But so far, this is actually really, 46 minutes into the flight, this is actually holding up against the ridiculously battering heat. Let's skip forward a little bit and see where it goes from here on. Right, so you can see all the other flaps on the cameras, and if you look at the top left corner, this is the flap that's beginning to have a bit of a problem. It's also the flap you can see in the big picture. The very edge where it hits the body, where it's joined to the body of the ship, is beginning to burn through. If you watch the top left, you'll see that the aluminium right in the center of that top left picture will start burning through. This is obviously, you can see it's slowing down. It's still at 15,000 kilometers an hour and falling, but it's now only at 55 kilometers where there's more air. And where there's more air, there's more friction. So it's doing quite well, but it is beginning to heat up. Mind you, that's what the heat shields are for. Obviously, the great guys at NSF, NASA, they're called NASA Space Flight. They don't work for NASA. They're a YouTube channel I follow all the time. They get the best coverage, so I hope they don't take my video down, because I'm just trying to promote them and promote space travel. So you can just see the red edge on this this angular piece that's joining the body. Now look up at the top left. You can see a little orange hole in the middle of the flap. It's beginning to burn through. Here we go. So this area is going to need looking at for the next number of flights. Yep, there's holes coming through, and the aluminium is beginning to melt through.
Look at the top left. Wow.
As Alex from NSF just said, look at the top left. Fire is getting through now. It's melting through. There's little bits of aluminium falling away, and again, this is not an exact science. These tests have got to be done all the time, and you get more information from things going wrong, as I know from filmmaking, than you do from things going right. So more data is more better, as Jack from NSF always says. More data, more better. So the flap is still giving them a good angle. Although there's fire coming through it, it's still not broken, or it's still usable. You can see the angle now. It's more than 45 degrees. It's heading right down. It's at 47 kilometers, and it's heading down to the ocean. Yeah, it's certainly burning through quite heavily now. So that area of the ship needs reinforcing. And it's always a trade-off between heat shielding and weight. Weight is the most important thing on a rocket, so you've got to make things as light as possible. That's why all these SpaceX ships are just silver, because they don't paint them. Because a painted ship is a good few tons heavier just because of the paint. Yeah, as Alex just said there, it's definitely way better than the last time, where we couldn't see anything, and the flap was just hanging on by a thread. But as you can see now, it's really burning through as they're getting into the atmosphere. 43 kilometers, slowed down to just over 7,000 kilometers an hour. I know this might sound boring to some of you people watching this, and you may skip forward. But I find this kind of thing just crazy because they couldn't see this in the 60s. They didn't have cameras on the ship, so it was all black and white telly, and now we're seeing history in the making. And obviously, being a massive geek, spaceflight is right up my alley. So the tiles are fine, they're staying on, etc. The majority of the ship is fine, but there is a giant hole in. If you look in the top left corner, you can see a giant hole. That's the SpaceX crew clapping because it's hit a certain level. That's only one camera's view of the flight, but we're going to do what they call a boost back burn. Or was it an entry burn? I can't remember which, but you'll see it in a second. There we go, engine started to slow it down. Look at the angle of the ship in the little graphic. It's vertical, it's going down into the ocean. The landing burn. You just saw the ocean. We're going into the sea. And underwater. So it's popped underwater, and you'll see it from an outside camera in a sec. They had a camera on a buoy bouncing up and down in the sea, so very close. It landed on target. So let's cut to that footage. There it is, and it exploded. Everyone is excited, and it's quite funny. I mean, the main part of this mission was the catch, which was done, and the buoy, or the buoy as we call it in the UK, managed to catch the booster exploding as it landed into the ocean. So I hope you found that interesting. I certainly did. So that's it for this week. I will be back next week to let you know what's going on with the shoot, what day we're filming, and what we've got left to do. Hopefully we'll have done some editing by then, and I can tell you all about how it's shaping up. And maybe next week I will get back onto the Federation Trooper rifles, because I've had my final pieces come in that I need for those, and I can probably start doing some final assembly and getting them all together, and then a little bit of painting, and we are done. So that should be fun. Also coming up is the Blake 7 Blu-ray reviews. As soon as I get my Blu-ray in the post of season 1, I'll be doing some reviews with a guest reviewer. So we'll be working our way through those, and that should be fun because I think we've got some differing opinions coming up. Anyway, keep it here. Thanks to my new subscribers. I've got 1 or 2 new subscribers in the last week, which is great. Lovely to see you. I'm hoping to get to 500 subscribers at some point. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I'm only at about 314 right now. But if I can get to 500 subscribers, I may be able to qualify for things like super thanks and is it super chats or is it tips or something like that? I've never monetized this channel in the past, and I don't know if it'll ever get monetized, but if I can get to 500 subscribers, YouTube has changed the rules about what monetization means. The standard rules still apply, but I can qualify for super thanks and like the tips, I think, if I get to 500 subscribers. So that would be cool. I don't know how I'm going to find 200 more subscribers, but I guess hopefully with the Blake 7 reviews, that will come too. Also, before I go, I've been spending the last couple of weeks watching for the first time in full The Prisoner from 1967, which I had no time for as a kid, but I'm really liking it now, for the most part. I will do some reviews on that as well. So if you'd like to see that, or you'd like to see something else, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and all that stuff, as they say, and I will catch you next week. Take care now. Bye-bye then.